Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. The Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs.
All right, welcome to the Daily Dirt with Dustin Diggs. I'm here with my friend Ian Schreier is here. We're going to talk about his company, Help My IT Career. We got the website pulled up right there. A little backstory about me and Ian. My first hosting gig I've ever did was called the Karaoke Classic. And Ian was one of the contestants on the Karaoke Classic. You're a fantastic singer.
Thank you.
I don't even know how you found out about that because we didn't really know each other. And so was it some kind of Facebook post?
It was probably on a Facebook post for sure.
Okay. And so do you remember in the first round who you battled?
I do remember that lady. She was coming with a lot of support.
She did, yeah.
Yes.
She brought the house.
She did.
What was her name? Was it Miss something?
I do not remember, but
Yeah.
it went down to like the last hour, and she must have heard her friends must have called their friends, and so on and so on.
Right. Well, it's funny because when we did the Karaoke Classic, nobody, people showing up, they thought it was just like at some kind of bar, and they're like, because Monica, that ended up winning, or she came in second of the Karaoke Classic, she thought it was at some bar or whatever, and then they're like, wait, this is at a studio, and there's cameras and stuff, so people didn't realize what type of show it was. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing the Karaoke Classic. I do want to bring it back. We had a little bit of drama towards the end of that thing. I don't want to get into on this podcast, so I'm kind of hesitant on that regards, but it was a really fun time, and we got a lot of traction, and for the most part, it was a positive experience. And you were very positive. You were very positive. I always thought you were a great guy, and then we saw each other a couple weeks ago, and I was telling you about this podcast, and then you were telling me about your Help My IT Career and what you're doing now. And so for the audience here, elevator pitch, what is Help My IT Career?
So Help My IT Career is a passion project turned into an actual business. I was laid off just after COVID. My job search turned around very quickly, thankfully. I wanted to do something for folks whose search didn't, particularly when I thought about what I'm good at. I've been in the IT field for over 25 years. I wanted to, turn my experience and my hard work into give back time. I wanted to make sure that I was paying back the industry and the folks in the industry that has really served my own career and my well-being so well. So I became a certified career coach. I started the business proper, and I work not just with IT folks, but my main focus is folks in the IT industry, particularly those who are looking to start an IT career, make the next step into a higher echelon of their career.
So with COVID happening, like that was a crazy time, but like IT was probably in high demand because all the Zoom calls, everybody was working from home, right? So did you see a spike in the IT careers happening during COVID?
It all kind of depends. With COVID, it seemed to go both directions. Some companies really did understand that, hey, we need people to support all this remote infrastructure, these remote workers. We need people to change the way our business operates so we can continue to be competitive. And other companies hadn't yet really bought in. Mm-hmm. They hadn't really understood, that this is not just going to be
3 weeks,
a 3 week type thing, right?
right.
And now, years on, we know that the genie's out of the bottle. Remote work is a real thing.
Right.
And what services a company needs for IT and how they support their workers is changed forever, for sure. Right. IT field is very secular in nature. Right now, we're in a little bit of a downturn, but it will come back. It always has.
Why is it in a downturn right now, you think?
At this point, I think a lot of the post-COVID, you might call bloat of a lot of contractors, things like this, have kind of run their course, and companies are looking to tighten their budgets. It happens every so many years. The first folks to go, unfortunately, are the contractors. Then they start trying to get the ancillary employees And eventually what happens is they'll, companies big and small will trim their staff, and they'll realize, hey, things aren't getting done. They're not working as efficiently. What's going on? Then they'll realize, oh, we need more IT folks, and they'll bring them back in. It's largely because most business people don't understand how the IT field works. So it is unfortunately something that IT pros have to deal with. I dealt with it right after the dot-com bubble myself, but it is something you can work through.
Well, I read your bio here, 25 years in the IT business, so you've seen a lot of different computers in your day, a lot of technology change in 25 years, especially with computers. What don't, you said a great thing there, what don't companies understand about IT? What would help them, understand it better?
It's not entirely gone, but the first thing I say is IT is not like a boat anchor, right? It's not a doorstop. It doesn't just sit and do one thing in the same way all the time. It's constantly changing. And one of the biggest drivers of the change is the business competitiveness of the markets that these businesses are in. If you are not being the most competitive business out there in your field, maybe one of your competition is going to get your customers, get your sales, get the income that you need. So a well-run business has an understanding of what to do with the IT resources, how to direct them, and how to help make the business profitable through IT.
I don't know much about IT, but so tell me what kind of services does an IT do for a company? So obviously servers. What else? Working on the computers. I mean,
sure. I mean, it can vary, and there are multitudes of different directions you can take in an IT career. For your average medium business or enterprise type business, of course, you've got all the folks supporting the people who are actually using the technology. You've got people running and administering those systems. In another direction, for companies that can afford to do it and have a need for it, you have people who are actually making programs, writing code, making websites, making platforms and databases to store information, manage information. Even on top of that, you've got folks whose job now it is in business intelligence to say, okay, I'm going to look at this customer information and these sales records, and I'm going to pull something useful out of that so the business can look and say, hey, we need to sell to this market. We need to change our focus a little bit to this particular field or this arena. It is all about making sure that a company can be agile and stay afloat.
Okay, so like I said before, you 25 years in the business. Obviously, your job with the Help My IT career goes further than just IT. You do job coaching and recruitment. Kind of talk about like you've worked with people, 30 companies that have 30,000 employees. You've worked with people with 4 employees. So tell me like kind of like the difference. Like what type of stuff do you do with just the life, not the life, I don't want to say life, but the career coaching?
So career coaching, I try to meet my clients where they are as far as being in their career path. Some folks are looking completely for a career change. Some folks are looking to get a foothold in a new industry like IT or even something else. I have a client who's working to get into nonprofit management and is trying to take other experiences from there. So I try to meet them where they're at and get them either started or get an idea of what they want to do in the next phase of their career, help them make that step up. I do everything from simply talking, beginning career search discussions. I help get them resources on how to identify what they want to do. For those who are a little more focused, I'm able to help them with resume development, job searching techniques, interview assistance, salary negotiation, working through problems on the day-to-day of a job, personality conflicts, changing business environments, things like that. it's really interesting, and it really touches, I mean, every, adult who wants to make something better of themselves. I have a lot of respect for anybody who wants to improve themselves however they can, and this is a big part of that.
Do you have clients that seem like they're all ages? I mean, or is does it show like a trend in certain age group that you're doing these coaching?
One of the focus areas that I've worked on most recently has been folks who are trying to make their first step into IT. And even in that area, I've seen folks who have been, early 50s. I see folks who are in their early to mid 20s. I see all in between. The biggest thing is that folks are trying to make a real investment in themselves, do things better for their own well-being, their own careers, help their families, really improve themselves. And I have a lot of respect for anybody who really wants to genuinely work towards self-improvement. So coming from a place of respect and coming from a place of excitement and support, I try to match what my clients need from a services standpoint.
How many hours do you typically put into a client with the research and meetings, and does it, I guess, just depends? Or I mean, what's kind of like the low end of how many hours you spend with a client to get them ready?
I mean, if a client just wants to talk through one situation, I'm certainly happy to focus on that. I try to offer different packages and ways that clients can engage with me. Some of my IT clients have done 2 or 4 session packages, and some I meet just on an as needed basis per session. I've given speeches at organizations as well, so I've had a bit bigger audience there. But when I work directly with a client, I do try to match their needs. Sometimes they will come needing, 3 or 4 sessions in a row in a couple of months' time. Sometimes we might not need to meet for another 2, 3, 4 months in between sessions, and that's okay. I just want to provide the support where it is and how it is necessary.
You had some good things too that I liked with your website. You were saying, the don'ts. Don't think like this is going to, change your life overnight kind of thing. And so a lot of people think like, well, if I just get this job and it's all about the zeros on the paycheck, and you're, I love how you said on your website that's that's not why you should go into a career, is if you're searching for more zeros.
Yeah, for sure. You'll hear on the radio, even more so in the past, you'll hear on ads online, start an IT career in 6 months. There's thousands of jobs in IT. There's partial truth in that. The truth about an IT career is that IT, depending on what you do and how you do it, can be very, very complex. If you can hang with it and you have a passion and a drive that really focuses your energy on the field, and that's where you find your passion, you can really go far in the field in many different directions. But I would never want to tell somebody, we'll just get you any old job. I've had people say, hey, I just want a resume so I can get anything. I like to start my engagements with clients asking, well, what do you want to do? What do you like to do the most? What are some things you don't like to do? And even simple questions just to start from there can kind of guide the conversation. And some folks don't end up staying in IT. We find that there's something else that they're more passionate about. That's fine. I would much rather know that I help somebody to find their passion and enjoy what they do every day than just put them in a box.
Right. And I want to talk about your career insights here. So you do presentations, conferences, people first. You just said how you're passionate about everybody. I love some of your blogs. You have some blogs on the website here, which I'll click on right there. And so you do daily or weekly blogs or monthly blogs?
It all depends. It's been a little slower than I'd like writing the blog post so far, but I'm looking to ramp that up. In fact, the most recent one just last night was how sandwiches relate to a really positive change in the IT field and in the business field overall.
And kind of digress on that. What do you mean sandwiches? Like,
So, in the last couple months, the Federal Trade Commission has basically banned, except for senior executives, all non-compete agreements. And the reason this comes up in relation to sandwiches was the first time I ever heard traction about companies doing away with non-compete agreements was Jimmy John's. In 2016, they were sued by the states of Illinois and New York. They used to have all of their employees, even like just, your regular sandwich folks, do a non-compete agreement. They had to sign this, and it said, if you work for us, you leave, you can't work for any other sandwich shop within a certain metropolitan area.
really, for Jimmy John's? That's
For
funny.
something that simple, right?
Right,
It
right.
doesn't make sense. And the worst thing is that it's predatory. It's helping the company by preventing people from trying to improve their financial status and whatnot. And it relates in IT because a lot of IT folks sign these same kind of predatory non-compete agreements, and they got no choice. You either sign it or you don't get the job. So the Federal Trade Commission just said these are all invalid, and we're no longer subject to them.
I had a job that I believe, it was at, I don't want to say the company here, but I had to sign one of those things, and it was like gave 3 years after I quit, I wouldn't be able to work for another company like that. So that would be abolished now. It'd be
They're technically enforced but unenforceable. Their companies can't take somebody to court over them. The only allowed non-competes that might still be in effect are for very senior level executives, and even those are discouraged from being gone after. Now, it's not the same as a trade secret. If you've got like business proprietary stuff, you still can't share that with competitors, even if you move on. But this is a document and a policy for years that's stifled competition, and even for the lay person, the lowest level employee, it's prevented people from trying to improve themselves and just make their lives better. It's stifled competition, and I, for one, am very glad to see it gone.
So, are you happy in your life that you're doing more of this recruitment and coaching and not working for because you were working IT obviously for the last?
Well, I still work IT.
Oh, you still do? Okay.
And I'm glad actually that I do both jobs. What's interesting is that the IT side of what I do actually informs and keeps me up to date on the career coaching side when it comes to the IT aspect of it. The other interesting thing is that, when I say that IT folks can come in many different flavors, many different areas, it doesn't necessarily have to be a traditional business. I've worked with folks who are former military, folks who have done IT support. I've worked with educators. I've got one client who's actually worked as a librarian and is very up to date on in-class technology, smart boards, things that everybody's students, children could be using on a daily basis. There's really so many different aspects to what can be done in the field.
And you've had some really good testimonials on your website here, so I want to kind of highlight that. These people are very good writers. I wonder if they went through Chat GPT to write their thing. But no, some really great testimonials you have here on your website. So you've helped out a lot of people. I guess that's rewarding in itself, knowing that you've helped people.
There's a saying that the the way to feel the most satisfaction is to put yourself in the service of others. For my IT career for myself, I've been very successful. I've succeeded well beyond what I expected to be able to do. And now that I'm at the point in my career and my life where I have a lot of experience and insight, not into only the IT field, but into the job search process, I feel like that's information I need to share. I've been on over the years, probably over at least 500 individual interviews. I've worked with countless recruiters, HR folks, the talent side of the business, and recruiting. If
Do you consult with like the managers, and the people on the executive part of the company? I mean, because I just wondered, what makes good, because what makes a good manager for an IT department? Do you ever get questions like that?
Yeah.
How to manage, because people in my field that does the art, graphic design stuff, we have a kind of weird personality. So there, we might want to be treated a little bit different than maybe some other type, what I'm saying? Do you consult people like part of the leadership with that?
At times I have worked with leadership to just kind of talk about what makes a team work. I've seen amazing teams that have not really needed a strong leader. The leader more provided kind of general direction and trusted their employees to do their thing and get the job done. I've seen leaders who have tried to be a little too rigid and authoritarian, and they've lost not only the employees as employees, but they've lost their audience. Right? Mm-hmm. They may have their authority, but they don't have their employees' respect. I've even seen managers who have managed solely by like fear. There's a saying, being afraid of getting fired only inspires you to work hard enough not to get fired. A lot of times I find
that's a good saying.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
A lot of times I find myself coaching folks who are asking, do I stay or do I go? And it's really difficult because you want to, as a good employee and a professional, you want to do your best to fix the problem. But sometimes, especially when it comes to personalities, certain problems just can't be fixed, and you need to get a good grounding of what your options are and how to make your decision.
What do you think the percentage of people that stay at a job because they are financially obligated, like if they can't afford to lose the job because just they can't miss the next paycheck? It seems like that would be a big issue with a lot of people sticking with jobs that they don't like.
Yeah, I mean, it not just in the IT field, in every field there are folks who are not only doing it because the paycheck is there. A lot of folks don't make changes in their lives because they are afraid. They're afraid of many times for good reasons. The devil you know sometimes is better than the devil you don't know, but they are afraid to take risks. And I totally understand, right? Especially if you are married, you have family, kids, responsibilities. It's not like when you were single or doing a job that allowed you to be looser with your responsibilities. You've got mouths to feed and you've got, food to put on the table. It's a hard choice and it's individual for everybody.
In your opinion, I know like inflation's up right now. Is the job market, is there a lot of jobs people hiring right now?
Um,
Because I haven't looked in a long time, so I don't know.
So for IT, you're finding that a lot of the jobs that are open, and it's usually this way, but it seems to be more right now, are jobs related to some of the more complex uh, capabilities, database management, running business intelligence reports, particularly artificial intelligence, and the folks that can not just use the tool, but actually program and focus AI tools are very much in demand and are getting very well paid. A lot of the more entry level folks right now, I find that I'm trying to help a lot of them through what's kind of a softer time in the market. It's part of that secular nature of things where businesses cut back, and they cut back IT folks until they cut back too far, and then they start bringing it back. Businesses and the executives and the number crunchers just don't seem to have a good understanding of what IT is and what it can do. And I think that's why you end up with this secular nature of hiring cycles.
You said artificial intelligence. Do you think that's going to play a big factor in the next 5-10 years with IT?
Oh, huge. I've heard it said that, when people say, what do you think about AI? And they say, is it going to take my job? I've heard it said that AI will not take your job, but somebody who knows how to use AI or knows how to use it better than you might take your job. And that's just for the everyday worker, right? We're all looking to find efficiencies on how we do what we do, get things done faster, be more productive. The most in-demand folks in IT are the ones that have a very particular set of skills. I was working with one client to try to get him a position at Washington University, programming AI backends, for lack of a better term, for EKG and ECG machines, and it was going to aggregate all of this research and spit out new reports based on the finding of these scans. A lot of that is really STEM oriented: science, technology, engineering, math, and the folks who get into that aspect really need a good grounding in those fields. It's tough. I couldn't do it. I'm not a deep math kind of person, so I have a lot of respect for those folks.
Yeah. Wow. I got some fun questions for you.
Sure.
What's the worst job you've ever had?
The worst job I ever had,
Yeah.
I would say, was an IT position. The how do I put it genteelly? The owner of the company was not the most honest or respectful or nicest person. The way I found it out was I was cleaning up a back office with him one day. He said, "Hey, bring me that trash can over here, would you?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I pull the trash can over. He says, "I'll get it." He pulls it where he wants it. I said, if I'm not a good enough garbage man for you, probably not going to be a very good IT employee for you either. It wasn't too long after that. See you later.
Okay. My worst job ever, I had to sell steaks door to door, and that was just the worst because it was the rejection rate of knocking on somebody's door trying to sell them steaks was 19 to 1. So it was a lot of doors slamming on my face, and so that wasn't.
What do you do to power through that?
I don't know. I just got to keep being positive. It's kind of like life. It actually taught me a couple of life skills because, life throws you curveballs, and I just kept trying to be positive. And it was almost more exciting to get rejected than it was to get the sale at this point. It was just funny. How is this person going to reject or whatever? I don't know. It gave you thick skin, but I only worked there for a few weeks because they skimmed me on my paycheck and then I was done once they did that. So
See ya.
yeah, see ya. So, well, that's great. Well, I'm excited about your career here. Anything? So let's just talk about the process one more time. So somebody calls you on the phone. They can set up a in-person meeting. You can do you have Zoom. It looks like you have a bunch of different platforms where they could do a remote interview with you.
Yep.
What would be the next step? So you talk to them, you do like a consultation with them, an hour, 2 hours. What?
So usually what I do is I have a 30-minute initial no-cost consultation with a potential client. In this meeting, I'm both looking at, what they're needing to get from our working together. I want to make sure that I'm going to be the right person to assist them. If not, I can certainly point them in another direction. But I want to make sure there's a fit. I want to make sure that I am well prepared to answer questions that they'll have going forward. I want to make sure that I get them the resources, be it me or in another arena, that will provide them a path to success. Usually, I will either put together a package of sessions, or I will just offer a rate per session. We will schedule time to meet for the first meeting. First meeting, we kind of go over, set guidelines on what we want to work on. Is it resume? Is it interviewing skills? Is it the job search itself? We kind of lay the framework for our engagement. And from there, I try to just have an ongoing kind of open dialogue. I want to know more about the person's background. No past experience is so trivial that anybody should have to feel embarrassed about it. If you came to me and said, yeah, I used to sell steaks for a living and now I'm getting into IT, right? And it's funny because you don't meet people who do that often, right?
Right. I might be good at it.
Exactly. And you think about what else you can bring to the table with that, right? You have got a resiliency, like you say, a thick skin that's going to help you in whatever you do across the board, right? You had to take orders, potentially manage money, input data. You had to do all these other things. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that I find people shortchange themselves on is their own past experience. They sell themselves short and they say, oh, well, that's not even related to IT, or that's not relevant. I like to try to help my clients realize that even if it seems like it's not related, what they've done is amazing. These folks that I work with do some amazing things. They have, just great stories to tell. And they have skills that they come with that they don't even know how to identify. So if nothing else, I want to be a positive. I want to be a cheerleader for my clients. And I want them to realize the same things that I see, that they can do great things. And usually when they're coming to me, they're ready to put in the work. Let's work together and let's help you make a change in a positive direction.
You said one thing about, okay, so you help them with the resume, help them beef up the resume. Do you help them with the interview process? Do you guys do like a fake interview? Do you try to help them? Because I have questions about that, because I've had, before my great job I have now, which I don't want to say on camera, but I went through a lot of interviews, and I was always trying to answer to what they wanted to hear. And then I finally just answered how I want to say it, and then it seemed like I was more successful doing it that way. And is it good to come off obviously confident, but you don't want to be too cocky, right? You want to seem still humble, right? I mean, what type of attitude should you be in an interview process?
It's a very stressful situation, right? Yeah. The first thing I tell people when it comes to interviews and job offers is that these things are not gifts, right? A job offer is not a gift. You are exchanging your time, your efforts, and your knowledge for money and benefits and a professional career, right? There is a real professional trade-off. If you take that attitude into an interview and you are able to just kind of talk shop about the position, about what's required, about your own experience, and you are able to bring, a little bit of confidence, a lot of professionalism, you're able to be honest and forthright, you'd be amazed at what results you can get positively. Folks are also concerned. They'll see a resume or a job posting. They'll say, "Oh man, I don't have this or this. I'm probably not a good fit." Apply anyway. Interview anyway. A lot of times, job interviews are being done to assess if you are 80%, 20%. 80%, do you have most of the skills they're looking for? Can they train you for the other 20%? If you go in with that attitude and being confident and knowing, hey, I can do this job just because I don't have XYZ doesn't mean I can't do it. And you can maintain that confidence, good things will happen.
What if, so I've got questions in interviews that are like, well, what did you not like about your last job? Or tell me something that you're not good at. Or, it's like questions they want you to kind of like tell something bad about yourself or something that you're weak at. Like, how should you answer those types of questions?
Yeah, they'll try to trip you up. They'll try to do things like that. In fact, a lot of times they'll do those questions. They'll ask those questions to see not what your negative answer is, but how you approach it. Are you a person that will be a bad teammate? Are you going to trash your other company on the way out? Are you going to trash your coworkers? They're looking for, a lot of times, a personality fit. When it comes to those kinds of questions, I usually tell people that there's very little time where you should ever embellish in an interview, and honesty is always the best policy. If you're not honest, you're eventually going to get found out, right?
So
Somebody's going to get it.
You said embellish, so you're saying keep your answers short?
Well, embellish meaning like tell a tall tale.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Definitely be honest about what you've done, what you're going to do. And then when they talk about, they'll say, talk about a time where you had a failure and what you did for it. They're not looking for a story where you're beating yourself up. They want to see what you did to turn the situation around. Did you respond positively? If they say, what's your worst quality? Don't talk in terms of worst, best. You could turn it around and make it more general. Say, one of the things I'd really like to work on for myself is so-and-so. I've been getting better at it, but I think I have room to grow in this area. Always try to turn things into a positive. Even if you have a failure to talk about, something you could have done better in the past, just show that you're always moving forward.
Don't be like, I'm perfect. Like, I've never done anything wrong.
I'm perfect. They will flag that real quick.
Okay. Well, I didn't do that. I don't remember what I said, but yeah. But you're right. I didn't go too in depth though. It was kind of a short answer when I said whatever I was weak at or not mistakes I've made. Well, that's good. Now, what's some other key things? Because I think you said some really good things right there. What's some other good things people should go into an interview? What should they prepare for? Like, obviously, what I would suggest, and I'm not an expert like you, but research the company and try to drop some things in about the company. So you should, right? Is that something they should do?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know this, but an interview actually has two parts. There's the part where they're interviewing you and asking you questions, and there needs to be a part that most people don't think about where you are asking them the questions. This is your opportunity to talk about the company, its goals, its mission, beyond, of course, what you've already researched. It's definitely smart to do research, but you are feeling out their fit for you as much as they are feeling out your fit for them.
Right, because it's not like you said at the beginning. It's not a gift, so it's it's an
Exactly.
exchange. Okay, because I have that question like, do you have any questions? And I'd be like, no, I don't have any questions, and I don't think that was helpful. I should have been like, no, questions about the company should have been.
One of the things that's unfortunate about uh, our schooling system and college and things like that is that we don't train students and graduates and whatnot about the job process, the interview process, what companies are looking for, what's important to them, and they don't have an understanding that, like I say, job is not a gift; it's a business transaction, and if they think you're great, but you're not really feeling it, man, it's better to walk away and come back for another opportunity that would be a better fit for you. I find that if there is an alarm bell going off in your head, something doesn't feel right, doesn't seem right, trust your gut in 99% of all cases.
Should you? All right, I'm at this job and I don't like this job.
Mm-hmm.
Should you start? I mean, obviously, you want to start looking on the DL for
Mm-hmm.
a new job. I mean, what's the ethics in that?
So definitely, the best time to look for a job is when you already have one. I certainly understand that going on an interview or things like that has a lot of concerning factors as far as how it looks to your company, things like that. One of the things I like to do when I work with someone, particularly on a LinkedIn profile, I like to do a couple things that help make sure that their network, including potentially their bosses or coworkers, don't know that they're looking for a job outright. You'll see, open to work on LinkedIn, on a profile for folks who are looking for a job. There are ways that you can kind of abstract that from the wrong people and only get the attention of people who will actually help you in your search. I love working with people on that. They'll say, "Oh my God, I can't believe I was, announcing to my network when I made, 7 profile changes at once." It probably looks like you're touching up your resume, your LinkedIn profile to start a job search.
Yeah. So you should probably not be friends with people you work with on LinkedIn then, huh?
I wouldn't say not to link up with your coworkers. I would say that you probably don't need to be broadcasting your changes to your network. And also, one of the other mistakes that a lot of folks make in the process of job searching or in a rough job time in their current position is using their professional network as a sounding board, using it as a way to understand their situation or express frustration. Let's say I have a professional contact I've known for a few years. I work with them on a few projects. I'm having a rough time in my position. For the sake of looking professional and being professional, I probably don't want to reach out to them if they're just kind of a, distant contact and say, "Hey, I'm having this problem. What do you think about this?" There is an occasion where that can be a good thing if you can keep it above board. But when it comes to personal issues at work, it's very difficult to do. If you have frustrations, it's better to talk with someone trusted that's much closer to you, who will keep things on the DL and not kind of spread the gossip through the network as loose as it may be even.
Right. Well, I don't. Any other great pointers for interviews? People should do.
Pointers for interviews, man. Again, honesty is always number one. Don't falsify anything. Don't embellish anything. Definitely don't put false information on your resume. there, especially in the IT field, there are all sorts of folks who have said, "Oh yeah, I can do this, this, and this."
Well, then they have to take a test, right? So a lot of times they make them take a test.
Sometimes they make them take a test, but
Yeah.
what I've seen happen more often, or at least what I hear, is somebody will start their first week. It's like, okay, well, you said you could do, you could work on this system, so here it is. This is our goal. Why don't you have a look at it? And they'll be like, like they'll be like, oh no, this isn't just an ABCD test. This is actual practical application.
That's
it's amazing.
There was a documentary about a guy that he would go apply for these high-end jobs, and he had no credentials to do these jobs, but he was really good at doing job interviews, and he would get the job and work there for a couple of weeks till they caught on that he didn't know what the heck he was doing, and then they would end up firing him, but he still got like a two-week paycheck. So anyways, so yeah, don't do that though.
Yeah, no. I guess the other thing is a job interview is a very stressful occurrence for a lot of folks, for good reason, right?
Yeah.
You're excited, you're nervous. I would say that the other folks on the other side of the table see this, they know this, they even feel bad for you that you got to be in this situation. So the best thing you can do in talking shop, talking about the position, talking about your field, show that you're an expert, but try to be as relaxed as possible. These folks who are interviewing you may not even want to be doing the interview. They've got so much work they have to do themselves. They're way behind. Those are the situations where if you talk shop, you can be a professional and do the job in the interview. Mm-hmm. They'll walk away and say, oh, okay, they know what they're talking about. This is a pretty good candidate. And they will have more support for you as a potential coworker.
I got another question because it just came to me. So I get the job. Mm-hmm. They give me an offer. Mm-hmm. Let's say it's $50,000 a year, but like at my last job, I was making like $60,000. Mm-hmm. Do you think the company is giving them the first offer, the best offer they have, or do you think they can go? They have a little wiggle room. Do you think they always shoot low and hopefully somebody takes it, or should you always? How would you handle that? Do you think most companies are given the honest ballpark what they can put in their budget, or do you think it's something that can be something that you can be negotiated?
So this is something else that folks are really hesitant to do. Folks do not like the thought of trying to negotiate a better salary because they're saying, what if they pull the offer? What if I lose my opportunity? Unfortunately, getting the lowball offer at first is just part of the game. And as soon as they offer you something, they make you a presentation, they say, we'd like to extend you this offer. Here are the terms. That is the opportunity for you to get as much as you possibly can. A company, as nice as the folks are, as good as they are, it's all driven around finance and money. A company will never be as nice to you, be as willing to give you what you need as when they are trying to hire you. So the first offer is usually the lowball offer, except in very rare cases like a nonprofit sector, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's best to craft what your response is going to be before you even send an email. If you're being offered $50,000 and you've already made $60,000 in your career, mm-hmm. You need to find the number that's going to make you happy and it's going to let you walk away from that negotiation feeling like you won. So let's say you write back, say, in regards to the money, I'm already at a salary of $60,000. Would you find $70,000 acceptable? And they may come back and say, well, maybe not, but that's going to be at the above our range. Would you find 60 acceptable? They might hear back. Would you take a lateral move? This is, your decision to make, but it's not the only thing you can negotiate. Depending on the position, depending on the resources available, you can negotiate extra time off. I know people who have negotiated travel subsidies for gas mileage, reimbursements,
Company car, maybe. Yeah.
company car if you're doing that much work, parking reimbursements, training and certification reimbursement, educational reimbursement for tuition. Once you get done with the money and you get to the point where you say, yeah, I don't think I can get any more there, that's where you can start talking about the other non-monetary things. It's all in how you present it, but yes, that's in at least 90% of cases, benefits, if not money as well, are negotiable.
Well, you can probably also push remote work too with this day and age. So that's something to think about as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Hybrid work is something that folks negotiate, particularly folks who, let's say your office would be in Clayton or downtown and you live out in Wentzville, for example.
Right. Commute. Yeah.
Yep.
So you help them with the interviews, and then once they get the job, do you want to talk about is your rates? Is it you charge them by the hour, or is it per session?
It all depends.
When their situation.
Yeah. Whenever I make a package for folks, the package is always including, the agreed upon number of sessions over, whatever time we need, but also what's included in there is a lot of back and forth review of potential jobs, resume changes and edits. I like to have my clients edit their own resume, but I like to give a lot of suggestions and targeting for the resume that will make it fit best for the job they want. I've even helped people, in fact, one of my testimonials, they were doing a yearly self-review that was going to be a factor in negotiating a raise for themselves. They had a lot of frustrations. They came in way too hot on what they wrote for their goals, expectations. So I was kind of able to
cool it down a little.
Yeah, cool it down. Say, hey, this is your time to sell yourself. Talk about all the positive things you've done, and they in turn were able to negotiate a bit more of a raise. And I was very gratified to know that they were able to do that, and we're very grateful for it.
Okay. And then resumes obviously don't go back 15 years. What's the average length of time to go back on a resume?
It all depends. For a technical job, is a company going to care about the technology that I worked with 15 years before and earlier? Probably not. But if it shows a work history, if it tells a story about your career and your experience, then usually I tell folks to keep it in. What I like to say is that the resume is a big part in telling the story of you as a professional, as a coworker, as an employee. All the things you've done and all the things you want to do can be intimated, can be shared on a resume. And even though something may be way back and it may be, less significant now, it can still be relevant. And you need to look at those older situations and see if they're still relevant. If they are, definitely keep it in there. I had a client who was looking for the nonprofit sector, and they had previously managed a small finance window, and it was for a city government. And I said, okay, so what did you do there? They told me, well, I'd take payments, I'd receipts, I'd process tickets to turn in services. I'm like, okay, talk to me about payment. How much were you trusted with on a day-to-day basis? They're like, oh, well, like in cash or checks, it could be $20,000 to $30,000 coming into me at the window a day. And I said, wait a minute, you don't want to cut that off, because that shows that you are trustworthy. You were trusted with a lot of money, a lot of resources. And if you're going to be managing finances in your new position, potentially, that's something that you want to show. Don't cut out important parts of your story.
And for your background, you're certified in Microsoft and Cisco, right? Am I correct? And different certifications you have.
Lots of things
So
over
that,
the years.
and obviously, if you're going to write a resume, you're going to put those things on there. What's some other great achievements and things that you think job companies look for on a resume?
I think one of the biggest things that companies look for on people's resumes is situations that show leadership skills. That can be many things: taking initiative, being the focal point of an effort, volunteering to lead an effort, to drive a process or a project forward. A company is always going to be most successful when it promotes and supports the folks that are willing to step forward, lead, and take the initiative. And if you're a hard working person and you're willing to do those things, you definitely want to share as much of that as you possibly can in the interview and in your resume, for sure.
Okay. Also, I guess now people are looking, they vet you. They look at your social media. They look at your Instagram. Once you put that stuff out on the internet, folks, it's out there for good. Should people, if they're starting looking for a new job, should they clean up their social media? Maybe change their name to Dustin Diggs so they don't know the real name their employer.
So sometimes changing the name of the profile may not get as much traction as you think, but definitely keeping the social media profiles clean, keeping it professional, keeping it positive. One of the things I recommend folks do is to turn off at least 95% of their public presence on things like Facebook, Instagram. Only have the folks who you are connected with, in network with, can trust to be able to see those things, comment on those things. No one's going to take offense from a baby picture. Hey, this is my family, the park. These are our Christmas photos. Right. But if you have that one post where you're a little aggressive,
you're at this party,
it's one time at band camp.
Right. Okay, so that's good to know for people out there. Well, man, I told you it was going to be a half hour, and we went an hour because you just were giving out so much gold. I thought the stuff you were talking about with the interview stuff, I think that's very helpful for the viewers out there, especially for this network. So if people want to contact you, here's your contact information here on the website. Go to helpmyitcareer.com. You can find yourself on social media as well as LinkedIn. Anything else for the viewers out there?
I would say that there will be hard times. Any major change, any big change that is difficult is usually the ones that are worth making. Do your best to be resilient. Give yourself a little credit. Don't give up. And reach out for help if you ever need it. You can do amazing things.
Awesome. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for watching The Daily Day with Dustin Diggs. Check us out tomorrow. And check out the website, www.rhunitednetwork.com. We'll see you later. We're out.